Hello, welcome back to our weekly transits, our local, or all of our astrological weather. Not local would be local where you're at, our global astrological weather, because this affects us all. This is the conditions, and it's up to you to wear the right attire. So this week, as we're moving through this week, we're giving it kind of our overall themes. We're closing in toward the spring equinox. We can see the sun at 22 Pisces, and we see that lineup of Pisces planets, and we see a few Aries planets. We have this real primal, like the whole beginning of the zodiac kind of energy, and we have it with the moon this week too. So we kind of have a double of kind of what's coming up. So our moon is in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. So this week again we have that initiatory energy, the real basic pure elements, with Aries and the moon. That's me. It's got to start now. It's bang, it's a burst, it's creativity, it's anger, it's expression. And then it moves into Taurus, where it gets a little grounded and secure and slows down. And then it moves into expansive, communicative, chatty, busy Gemini. And then it's able to slow itself down and come home in the Cancer. So we have those 2.5 day periods through the week, and this week we start with the Aries moon, and I think it's pretty apropos as we wind down this last week of March before we move into the spring equinox. And you should be noticing the days and the nights getting more equal in length. And again, it would depend on where you're on the globe, but the contrast of days, hours of daylight and hours of night are getting more equal for everyone. So here we are with this week, and we have our tight lineup, except for, move my thing, well, actually it's still this way because the moon is here. As soon as the moon busts out, then it will be the only planet, light, whatever you want to call it, the only body that will be making other angles. Like, look, we don't have a whole lot going on. We barely, have a square, between, Pluto and it's already passed, but it's more than 90 degrees. It's a scant, what is it? It should be 108 degrees. Okay, it's from Pluto to, all, if we counted all the degrees all the way around going to Uranus, there's about 100, what did I say, 108. So it's tight. It's a different tight energy. We had that real intense Capricorn different lineup several years ago, like 2020, 2021 in there. And that was intense, for a few years. It come around and it would be really, it's when we had the lockdown and all that stuff, the whole world. So we see astrology in action, and we see another tight wedge kind of lineup. And it's different. It's in, we have it starting in real expansive, it's a Saturn ruled sign of Aquarius, but even if we chop off the outer planets out there, look how tight that is over here from Mars to Jupiter. So we have a very, one of these kind of unique situations, but we've talked about that before. But anyway, that's our flavor moving into the week. Not a lot of aspects other than moon aspects this week. We have a real big one. We have a lot of moon aspects, and I'll click through the days in a second, but we're closing in on the spring equinox. We're moving, the very initial primal section of the signs, the moon is moving through that area. And then Mercury's slowing down. Mercury will be slowing down, and it'll retrograde on the 1st of April. So what that means is, like, we're looking at Mercury near here, and where's my notes here? I have, and when I click through the days, we'll see right at, and I'll talk more about this next week because this will be more apropos, but I still want to prep you because, we have to remind ourselves of these cycles as we dive in each week. So Mercury on the equinox, we have the equinox on the 19th, and then Mercury also enters its shadow. So what does I mean by shadow? It enters in the period that it will retrograde over. So let me just walk you through it. So it will enter, it'll be at 16 Aries. You can see now that it's up here at 4, right? Actually, let me just step through it for you. Just watch Mercury. So we're at, here's the 19th. So now Mercury is here. Now watch, keep watching it. It's at 16. Okay, so it's going to go until the 1st, their station, April 1st. And then look, it's at 27. See, it's slowed down. Now it's going to go backwards. We know that it actually doesn't go backward in space, but we're going to just say that for language. So just keep watching Mercury up at the top of the chart. Okay, it's 24, 23. It's still retrograde. See the R there? And it'll go for 3 weeks. And let's see, what day I have it? The 25th is it'll go direct. Keep watching. 21, 22, 23, 24, station. It's like still, and then it's direct now. Unlike the late 25th, 26th. See now 16. See now 16 degrees. See it's at 16. That's where it was when it. How do I say it? When it started its retrograde, and it went all the way, or it went to 27, and then it's gonna. Or here actually it retrograded back, and now it will move. If I'm saying this right, it'll now move forward and get to 27 degrees, which is where it went on its retrograde. Okay, it turned around at 27, but 16 is where it was. Now it's almost at 16, and that's going to be where it had to go back over. See, so now we're going to go back. Watch. Okay, so now we're going back in time, and you'll see look, it's going to be, you'll go to 27, and then you'll see it go retrograde. See right there? So, okay, so now it's keeps back. It's going to go back to where it is now, and it's going to go to 16. So 16, let me get here. There we go. So 16, it's at what, 6 today? So 16 is where that whole thing starts. So my whole point, it doesn't matter if you really catch that or not. What's happening in a few days when it hits 16 degrees, mentally, communicative wise, whatever projects that you're into, it'll be stopped there until it goes out of shadow, which won't be till May 14th. So that's when it'll go past the degree that it turned retrograde on. So it's going to go back over old territory for this time. And it always does when the retrograde, so you have this shadow time before, like right now is where it is, when it hits 16, that's where it is going to have to travel back over. See, because it's going to retrograde all the way from 16 to 27 and back, and it's going to go back over, which you see that. All right. So anyway, whatever projects you have now, try to finish them up. Don't start a whole lot of things. I mean, we just had the new moon. So continue on with that. Keep the nose to the grindstone on that. Not a time to bring a whole lot of new stuff. So if you're going to do anything new, you got just a few days. So a little bit on Mercury. I'll hit more on it next week and we'll actually cover it. But I want to, you have to go over things a few times to kind of get it and to go, oh yeah, that's right. That's what was going on. So Mercury, we know it's coming up. So it's like barely like 17 days that we have before it goes retrograde. And that's about the time that it will be retrograde. It's like 21 days, but then it's got to go back over where it has been. So it gives you time to maybe really study something, really dive in and learn, because you're going to have to go over it a bit, a little bit more than normal, because Mercury is usually flying over things. So now it can maybe slow down and digest. All right, now we're moving into Thursday. Actually, it's like we had a lot of moon aspects, so now we got a little bit. We've got the moon here. It always acts as a trigger. So when it's in Taurus, you should have noted. Let me go back. It's going over Jupiter and Uranus, which will be conjunct soon. You can see those two are getting closer together, and we know that Jupiter has a 1 year, pretty much a 1 year stint in each sign. It's got a 12-year cycle around the sun, And I'm rounding up. It may be a few days here and there, but just giving you something to hang some information on. So you see those two getting closer, and then so the moon anyway just going to kind of rake over it a little bit, So we've got, what would you say, largeness, expansion there, expansion meeting opportunity, sudden things, expansion meeting something suddenly. Yeah, we'll talk more about those as those come up, but we can still see this is happening, and moon is going over that. So it's just going to kind of give us a little ringy dingy of something kind of contrary to what will be happening. It's like we want to expand and get new ideas, but don't go too far, because we know a whole lot's not going to be going on because Mercury will go retrograde. But we've got this moon kind of maybe pulling in a little bit of security, business decisions, wise investments. It's a feeling like being more secure, or to put something more into something solid. Okay, so that's kind of coming up because we have interesting these little groups. We've got one group, two groups, three groups. We have four groups here, even though we have a tight little area. We've got four little cliques going on here. We've got Pluto and Mars. We got the two malefics, hanging out here in Uranus. I mean, in Aquarius. Quite a bit apart, but they're kind of taking up that space, and Mars is moving out of that. So Pluto will kind of be by itself as this little group moves past Saturn. Venus had just entered Pisces, so we've got that, it's exalted there. Venus loves to be there, so that could be kind of melty, kind of dissolving. So we have something that's interesting. We got something dissolving, and we have some structure. Do we want to dissolve old structures? Do we want to get rid of things that aren't good, that make way for new, more solid things? It's kind of a mixed bag depending on you, but this is sort of the overall energy. And then we have more of the Pisces. The sun is about to conjunct Neptune, so that's the kind of the big thing this week. We're building up to that. So let's see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll see that on Sunday. But we can still sense that whole dreamy, maybe pulling it in, maybe more on a psychic level or a spiritual, or maybe not doing so much outwardly, but more inwardly with this kind of an aspect. So it's maybe not so much as you working your will through your mouth or your own actions. It would maybe be more by your own intentions, how you say something, how you pull something in. Not so much physical as maybe more emotional, spiritual with this. So it's almost like less is more, less action is more, and it work more on the inside. But yet we have that outer communicative Mercury, going close to the North Node, wants to communicate. So maybe just saying the right thing, the not too much, the right thing with enough pizzazz will do it, not over saying things. Aries kind of wants to be done with it anyway. It's like say the right thing and then on to the next. So maybe think about your presentation or your approach, and then maybe will it in, pull it in with your willpower more so than your outward actions. That's what I'd say with this kind of lineup this week. All right, anything else I wanted to tell you? Yeah, moon, we talked about that. Also the moon, after it conjuncts, which it just did, you can see it conjuncted over, went over Uranus. Then it's, it's like right there at 24 degrees, it will sextile, making that nice, harmonious in the same polarity with the sun. So, sun and moon now, they're a little, a nice little combination there. And then the moon will go and have that nice sextile with Neptune while the sun has the conjunct there. So that will be kind of cool. And we'll see that the moon had it first, as it went over because it's flying by, and then the sun will take a couple days. All right, moving on to the 15th. Friday the 15th. So we got into Gemini. We've seen a lot of moon stuff. It's mainly moon stuff here. So we got a lot of Gemini moon, but it's not going to conjunct anything. See, this is kind of odd the way the chart is, so it'll only make more aspects as it, moves forward. But anyway, we notice it's a mutable sign, so it's going to square mutable signs now. So as it goes through Gemini, it will square Venus, Saturn, the Sun, and Neptune, like in that 2.5 day stint, while the Sun is then going over Neptune. So we have a little interesting. It's kind of like the busy fly in the room. Gemini is noisy, and the Moon, it's wanting to feel, but it's kind of buzzing and humming. What else on Friday? That's mainly Friday and Saturday. So more of the Gemini moon, and then the moon moves into Cancer. But you can see that it had moved through there, so it will have made aspects to Saturn, and then over these guys as the Sun goes over Neptune. I should say Neptune and the Sun, and as the Sun goes over Neptune. So kind of cool, dreamy, maybe intuitive aspect. What else I want to tell you about that? That's pretty much it, on that. But it's, this it could be confusing also. Maybe could also be disinformation, especially if you have things like at that 27 degrees, it could be resonating no matter where it is. Of course, the more malefic squares, oppositions would be more harsh. The trines and sextiles would probably be better, but nonetheless, it could be careful, as we get close to, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday too, while some things are happening. Make sure that you check your information. Don't just take things at face value. If you're confused, meditate on it, wait on it. You don't maybe have to make the decision on whatever there. All right. That's kind of the big thing. So I don't want to say it's a boring week, because there's like a lot of half squares and stuff too. So it could be a little annoying on that level, but there's just so much. I want to keep things kind of grounded for you. So we have this primal energy. We have finishing up of things before, we get into the next season, before Mercury goes retrograde. We have some, before it goes into its shadow, which we're seeing now. It's getting closer, 16 degrees, and it'll be, look at, right on the North Node. Isn't that funny how things just line up there? Oh, and then I got the moon over here making a square to this little stuff here. So kind of a little communicative pushback, argument, tat-to-tat on Monday, with the moon, your emotions, maybe with the outward feelings or something. Maybe you don't want to say something, or maybe you'll say something too harsh. So just kind of be aware of checking your emotions, on Monday, because look at, the Sun is right at almost at the end of Pisces, at the critical degree, right over there at foggy Neptune. And then we have a emotional, or could be dramatic, could be more, it's moon's in its own sign in Cancer, but it could be more easily swayed. So there could be a little conflict with feeling and speech. So maybe, you have to bite your tongue or think about it and not be so sharp, with that feeling moon. And then we got that arrogant, Mercury kind of, I'm doing it this way, I'm aggressive, I'm going to do it this way, it's my way. Just be a little bit careful on that. Just a little salt on some things that you say on Monday. I can see now, salt on the things I say. It'll make you pause. If you think of something salty, your mouth will water, and maybe you'll change the way you speak about something to somebody. All right, you can see now, we're just going to go ahead a little bit. And when we come back on Tuesday, we'll be right at the end of the Sun's stay this time of year in Pisces. And we can see, just depending on where you're at in the time, how close that is. And then there we go into Aries. It'll be later that day, later on Tuesday, I believe. Yep. All right, that is our week. Primal energy, finishing up, getting projects done, staying the course. We don't start a whole lot new, because Mercury's not gonna move into new territory. So you'll have to go back over certain things, or maybe try harder, or it might be harder. If you can't, you can't. But just to know what you're in for. If it's rainy outside, you wear a raincoat or bring an umbrella. So that kind of thing. All right, I hope that helps, and you guys have a good week. See you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.